Hi everyone, so welcome for this new live stream. It's the Arch. So for the one you on the Arch, we do like 1, 2, sometimes more live streams a week. So the Arch is a global community. We are based mainly on Discord, and we created this community 1 year and a half ago. And the goal was to create a community where we can really deepen relationship between people. So instead of just sharing like information, build relationship, and most of the members are founders, so CEOs, CTOs of production projects. And so we're here to do this journey of building companies all together. And so now I'm happy to talk with Yosef from Tel Aviv. So Yosef, can you introduce yourself and explain what you do, who you are?
Yeah, for sure. Hi, guys. I'm Yosef Shaftal. I am the executive director of the Israeli Blockchain Association. Basically, what we are is we're a place where Web2 companies come for advice on what crypto is all about for the Web3 strategy. And we're a number one destination where startup founders all over the world, by the way, not only Israel, come to get advice and guide them in their journey. Anything from pre-seed all the way to later stage. We help them and we help the founders all across the world and guide them and advise them on how to penetrate the market and so forth and so forth. And I also own another company called 42 Studio, which is a full-blown marketing agency designed only for Web3 and blockchain world. And that's another business that we have. So looking forward to this conversation, man.
Great. Maybe first question, how did you get into cryptos? What was your like background and
Sure.
how did you discover and what was attracting?
It's actually a very funny story, but I was a precious metals trader back in 2009, 2010, after the big crisis happened. I was trading precious metals, and I had one of my clients that called me and asked me, like, there's this new thing called digital gold called Bitcoin. What do you think about it? It was in 2010, end of 2009, beginning of 2010. And I told him, this scam, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Like, digital gold? Like, come on, whatever.
What the hell is that?
And yeah, I should have bought some Bitcoin back then instead of buying gold because gold didn't really move much since then. But Bitcoin, of course, went from cents to tens of thousands of dollars right now, right? So that's one thing. And then ever since then, like, in 2013, when the second bull run happened, 12, I think, 2012, 2013, when the second bull run happened, that's when I already thought that Bitcoin just basically had no future. That's it. Like, it did its maximum. I mean, like, what's the point? So that's when I started to basically look around for some crap coins. And I'm like, I'm sure there will be a better Bitcoin, right? And yeah, it was a learning curve because a lot of people did a lot of bad things back then. But it is what it is. And then 2017 happened, and when Ethereum got started with their whole like ICO concept, I was like, this is promising. This is the future. And basically working with startups and different one way or the other within the crypto sector ever since.
Perfect. And so you were so you were already living in Israel before starting before starting working in the blockchain space. So you
Correct.
discover blockchain through people living here?
It was actually quite interesting because I come from marketing background basically, and as a growth hacker, which is something that a lot of people called me that before in the past, right? As a growth hacker, you're always looking for a leverage or some kind of a community that you can use to leverage from it. And back then, we saw that Bitcoin and crypto in general had the ability to not only bring people together, but actually actively engage with one another and constantly stay in touch. You know what I mean? So, as an example, if you were to like spend on Google Ads or Facebook, right? It was not as effective as some crypto influencer basically talking about the product. People had a much higher conversion rate for e-commerce, right? And so forth and so forth. So that's when we really got deep, is because we just wanted to say, like, how do we target that market? And that's what just kind of got me more and more and more deeper into the space for me to learn more and understand and hear some smart people what they have to say. And crypto is a black hole. Once you're in it, you don't want to get out. You cannot get out. So I guess we're in it right now to stay.
And so this is maybe why you decided to create the blockchain Israel, is also to gather people and
Correct. It was just a way for me to just understand, because I'm not the probably considering the people that I know and who are exceptional in terms of technology, right? You know, I'm not the smartest guy in the world when it comes to tech. There are a lot of people that I know that are much smarter than me. So it was just a way for me to just unite people and just to hear what people have to say about blockchain in general, about crypto in general, digital assets, and just to kind of hear the opinion of what people have to say about it. So that's why we just kind of started with it. And then, it just grew from there into what we're doing right now, which is full-blown advisory and investments and so forth, right? So we pivoted quite a bit since like the original goal, from talking to politicians about crypto and talking to startups and corporates and so forth and so forth. We completely pivoted to doing something else completely. You know what I mean? Because now we actually understand technology a lot more, and now those people that we used to go to and ask for advice, they actually come to us and ask us how do we position our products for like Web3 and for the go-to-market strategy, some of those Fortune 500 companies and so forth and so forth. So it's pretty interesting how you know the pendulum shifts basically, and gives you ability to start with one idea and then you end up in a completely opposite place after just a few years. I mean, which was definitely an interesting journey.
And so when did you start with like blockchain as well?
Blockchain Israel was started back in 2017.
Okay.
That's when it was, but I was not very active in it back then.
Okay.
I became more active. It was already like 19, 20 when I became much, much more active with it and to run with it, because it was started like right before the peak of the ICO craze, and everything crashed. I mean, 2018 was just a bloodbath, right? People were like crying and dying. And just,
I remember.
yeah, I know. Still hurts, right? Still hurts. So like, yeah.
And so now is it mainly founders? What kind of people? And do you use also this group of people to influence local politics or local regulations?
We don't work with local politicians. There are other organizations that do that, and they're doing a much better job at it than we would. Our goal is very simple. When a founder wants to, because most of the people that want to find, like, could be founders, right? It's a lot of people that come from Web2. And they look at the surface and they're like, this is a problem that needs to be solved, or that problem needs to be solved, right? Not realizing that there are teams in stealth mode that have been building solutions for that for years, and they're ready to launch it. So until they'll raise money, they'll come up with a product, find the product market fit, and go to market, they're actually going to be 1 year late. The other guys are going to be 1 year earlier than them with a product that you don't know if it's better or worse, right? So basically, like, people come to us for them to brainstorm and say, listen, this is what I want to build. This is the idea that I have. What do you think about it, right? At which point we're trying to help them, and that's what like some of the research guys do, is just to research all day long and find out what are some of the missing pieces of the puzzle, and we just help them find that product market fit. And if we think that the problem is strong enough and team is capable of solving that problem, then we'll even write them a check, not a problem at all, and we'll help them and introduce them and just everything they need.
So what do you do exactly? What the kind of team you're looking at? Kind of vertical size? What kind of, like, do you invest in token, equity, early stage, seed, pre-seed, private placement? And
it all depends on which stage. That's what you said. Like, exactly. Like, stage is very important, right? Like, what I'm looking for in pre-seed is totally different from what I'm looking for in like private or Series A or seed or other stages that are out there. It also, the market dynamic is also very important, right? Are we in the bull market? Are we in the bear market? Are we in somewhere in the middle that nobody knows, like, where we're at, right? So like, for pre-seed guys, what I'm looking for is the background of the founders, and most importantly, what they have done before, and what are some of their experiences that they went through. Because when you're a pre-seed founder, you're going to a jungle, literally, and you have very few bullets. So if you don't know how to survive, good luck, right? Like, literally, good luck. So that's where your background comes in, your perseverance comes in, and how much you're capable of surviving. Your survival instinct comes in. I mean, like, if you know how to fight or not, right? Moreover, another thing that's important is what kind of problem are they looking to solve?
maybe talk just a bit louder.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Another thing is, like, what kind of a problem are those guys looking to solve, right? Because, like, if you come to me right now with an idea that you want to build MEV resistance order book based spot trading protocol. Yes, a year and a half ago that was great, but nowadays you have so many solutions that are building to conquer that. It's just impossible for you to catch up because they have been working on biz dev and so forth for a year and more, right? So that's why it's so important to understand like what's the problem that the team looks to solve, and then finally whether or not we think that team can deliver the solution to the problem. Because I can say to you right now that I want to populate Mars or Moon, right? But I will never be able to send a rocket because I'm just not there, right? I'm not Elon Musk and Bronson and Jeff Bezos, right? Those guys maybe can, I don't know, but that's the thing. Like whether or not team can have, if the team's ambition is something that we think that the team can accomplish or not.
How do you measure that? What's the
That's something that is very hard, but mainly speaking, it's talking to their experiences, and that's where like psychology comes in, and where they show you what they have built until now. It's like taking their white paper that they have and comparing with the code that they wrote, and whether or not they're really following the white paper, or they're like doing a little bits of pieces of here and there. There is no flow going on. That's usually one indicator that's very good. Second indicator, of course, it's very good is to see if, just to measure like whether or not there's a need in the market. Of course, like Sam Altman has this world coin, right? The founder of OpenAI. So he has this world coin that he raised the seed round of like $1 billion, right? Do I think that he can bring soulbound tokens to the world? I mean, he has OpenAI, so I assume he's capable of doing that, right? And if on the other hand, you have some 20-year-old kid that dropped out of university that hasn't really had a job or has no business experience, if he wants to build something so ambitious, right, then the chances of him probably succeeding are lower, right? So those are just already like a gut feeling and the instinct and your relationship with the founder, right, that makes you determine whether or not you want to go with them or not. And finally, how much they listen. And if they don't listen, why they don't listen, and if they don't listen because they don't want to, or is it there's a logical reason behind why they don't want to do what we think that they should be doing, right? Those are the most important things that are extremely important for you to find that whether or not the team can survive the primary market stage and go to the end and then have a successful launch.
okay? And maybe can you give an example of a company that or a team you analyze and you decided not to invest, and maybe one you decided to invest?
Yeah, sure, no problem. Like one example is, I'm not gonna say the name of the company, but I shared that story with you yesterday. And there was this founder that, like, when I looked at their white paper, their materials, I was like, oh my God, I want to literally lead the round because the tech was so amazing, right? Like everything with it, they was building something that was like mind blowing, right? And then I get a call with the founder, and I just see there's a rooster in the background that's doing a cuckoo-doo-doo-doo, right? And like every 15 seconds, there's a chicken that says cuckoo, you know what I mean? And you're like, it's a little bit annoying, but whatever. And I tell them in the end, I'm like, guys, listen, like, like everything is good, but like, there's a chicken in the background. It's very annoying. So I'll introduce you to some VCs. Talk to them, and I want to hear their opinion as well, what they have to say. And then one of our VC's friends basically got on a call with him. And first thing I asked him like a week later, I'm like, listen, was there the chicken in the background? The guy's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, was there a chicken in the background? He says, yes, there was a chicken in the background. It was annoying. I'm like, that's it, I'm passing. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, these guys don't want to listen. They want to raise crazy amounts of money. They'll need to raise at least 20 to 30 million dollars before they will be able to go live with this product. Right now, they just started to raise money. So at pre-seed stage, first 3-4 million, yes, they will raise easy. But do I think that they can raise another $20 million moving forward? I don't know. And most importantly, this guy doesn't listen because I told him specifically to get rid of the chicken, right? To get rid of the rooster. And he didn't do it. So I'm like, he doesn't listen. He doesn't respect the VCs that speak with him. He will not. Yes, he will raise this round, not a problem at all. He will easily raise two, three, $4 million in the pre-seed round because his white paper and technology is so wonderful, right? But he will not be able to raise a Series A. And if he's not going to raise a Series A, money's gone. That's it. There is no future for the project, right? That's why we passed. As simple as that. You know what I mean?
I like this story, honestly. It's
So it's because of the chicken, man. You know, that's it. You had to eat it. That's it. You'd be good, right?
do something with it. You told me yesterday, eat it
Yeah.
if you want, but just
Yeah.
get rid of the
Get
fucking
rid
chicken.
of it. No, it's.
Good.
Excuse me.
And yeah, maybe a story where at the beginning you were not really convinced by the founder, by the team, and by the projects in general. And at the end, after more due diligence, you realize yeah, probably there's a big opportunity beside that, and it was worth doing a more detailed due diligence, and you decided to invest.
So actually, there's a company out there that is exactly that, and very soon they're gonna go live on one of the largest launchpad, actually the largest, the best go-to-market place in the world. And it's a funny story, but when we first spoke with him, he was the most humble guy I've ever met in my life. I'm talking about a guy that was underselling his technology.
Mm.
He built an amazing tech stack, like literally, it was unbelievable. But the guy didn't even know how good of a product he built because he was just so humble, very down to earth. You know what I mean? Like super sweet guy, very, very one of the best founders out there, right? And I'm talking to him. I'm like, I'm not convinced that I like it. I'm just not convinced. Like first call, I was not convinced at all. And then I was just talking to a friend of mine who's extremely technical, and I told him, I was like, "Have you seen this project before?" He's like, "Dude, we should get on a call with him. Can I get on a call with him together with you? Let me just check what he really has, right?" So we get on a call together, and my friend just asks very technical questions, technical how he does it, the infrastructure, the architecture behind it. And he's sending me a message. He's telling me, so I don't know how much allocation he's left, but we should take everything right now. This guy doesn't even know what a gold mine he has. He doesn't even know what a technology, what a piece of tech he has built. He doesn't even understand himself how good he is. And that's why it's such a cheap price. We should get in on it right now. So at that conversation, we just told him, like, figure that out. How much is left in your round? So he told us the number, and we're like, okay, that's it. Send us the steps. We're sending you the money right away. You know what I mean? And that's what it was. And since then, he has raised already at 4 or 5 times the valuation that we invested in.
Okay.
And he's going on, hopefully, public. Once it's confirmed, it's going to be like 8 to 9 times what we
Okay.
valuation that we invested in. So that's once again his thing is that the guy just didn't know how to sell himself. You know what I mean? He built something great, but just didn't know how to sell it. That's why he was selling this for so cheap. So we got lucky.
And do you think he was alone in the team, or how?
During the sales pitch, yes, he was the alone
Mhm.
in the team during the sales pitch. Yeah.
And is it like how do you look at the complementary of the team members and like the way they interact with each other? Is it something important for you? Do you?
All right. So I'll tell you another story. It was actually a recent story, like from 3 or 4 months ago, right? There was this team that was looking to raise $500,000 at $5 million valuation, right? When we got the pitch deck, once again, amazing architectural white paper of the one to build, and 500,000 at 5 million. I was like, I want to do it, no doubt about it. And then we get on a call with these guys through 2 weeks later. I was traveling or something, so we get on a call with them. So we just start, and the guys are like so much sync. Is one the guy is amazing technology guy. His GitHub is just stellar, like wow, very impressive. And the other guy is all business, super sales guy, like super, super, super sales guy, right? And I'm sending like message to Eagle, my partner. I'm like, listen, man, I'm in love with this team. Like, I'm in love with this team. Like, literally, whoa. And then they tell us in the end, by the way, guys, there is one thing. There was a change that happened. We're no longer raising at 500,000 at 5 million. I'm like, why? He says, our lead investor wants to give us X amount of money. So now it's 5 for 50, 5 million at $50 million valuation. So their first round, they wanted to raise $500,000 for it. They actually ended up raising $5 million because the team was so good, and there was such a good synergy between the founders, and it was just unbelievable, right? And I was like, "Yep, makes sense, sweet, good." You know what I mean? Like, good for you guys. You know what I mean? Like, rock on, right? Thank you, XYZ Ventures, for marking this roundup for all of us because you wanted to deploy $2.5 million. Good for you. You know what I mean? So that was another one. So that's what I'm saying. That synergy is so important between founders when you see that they actually like you see the teamwork in the pitch, right? And if you see that there is strong teamwork between the team members, it's only a matter of time that the project is going to be successful, right? And they will achieve their goals and targets.
And other maybe also like you talk about a market, may like which verticals or problems or technology are you specifically looking at or interested by?
At this stage,
Yeah.
at this stage, I believe that first of all,
Or
a
maybe
lot
in general, like to
in general,
understand.
right now, I really think that like zero knowledge computing (ZKs) they have a lot of future, whether it's Starks or Snarks or Plonks and all that kind of stuff. I think they have a lot of user cases they can come up with, and I also believe that somehow getting AI and crypto intertwined with one another is also a good primitive that could be. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But right now it's all about primitives because like whether it's GameFi, whether it's DeFi, whether it's social fi, whether it's refi, whatever fi you want to say it, right? Real world asset fi, right? The infrastructure is just not there. It's just not there. Very limited infrastructure, right? So it only makes sense that if you're making a long bet on a particular idea, right? It's free to just look at the infrastructure and see what's out there and how you can make it stronger. That's where like primitives come in very handy and very helpful.
Okay. No, we fully agree.
Yeah.
This is what we do also. And maybe so you told me before, right now you're more looking at private placements. So you have what kind of private placements, what kind of like valuation you're looking at, what kind of what's for you? How do you identify at that stage a good project? Because the team is maybe a bit less important at that stage.
Once again, like for the pre-IDO stuff, that's when you already go to look at the fundamentals, right? Do these people have a community? Do these people have, you know, an army of people that are just basically promoting them all the time or not, right? That's one thing. Second of all, what kind of messages do they have on their Discord and Telegram? If all of their messages are you looking for promo, sir? Are you looking for promo? Who do I message to promo? No, thank you. I don't want you. I want to see a discussion on your group of people fighting with one another and some guy that wants to come in and say that your project is a scam and 10 people telling him how he's an idiot for thinking that it's a scam and how this is the next big thing, right? Like I just want to go in your Discord and Telegram and just be punched with the energy that comes, right? That's what I really want, right? So it's just as simple as that. And if you didn't build it until now, I don't know if it's a good idea for you to do a private sale right now because maybe you want to build some fundamentals. Second thing is also other than community is does these guys have revenues? Like, do these guys literally have revenues or not? Like, is this coin gonna survive for the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years or not? Because as an investor, you have this long vesting terms where your coins are basically tied up for 2, 3 years, and you're like, you know, will this coin be around by the time I'm gonna get my last token or not? Then it's due diligence on the team. Are they like serial founders where they do like narratives and they do something with it, or are these guys really conviction that this is their project for them to go with and this is the project they're going to concentrate on, right? It's extremely important. Finally, and most importantly, is whether or not there's actually a need for this project. You know what I mean? Like, is the token being out makes sense for the project utility or not, right? And the valuation and basically what I said was the utility and the token is their token metrics, right? Like, is there a need for their token to be out or not? Like, do they need to have a token? Because that's the problem that 95% of the tokens out there, right? it literally makes no sense for this token to exist. Literally zero sense for the existence of the token whatsoever, right? Luckily, we have this 5 to 10% where you actually need the token, and they're the backbones of this society, of this industry of ours, right? So this and probably like some of the other factors, like what we have is for every single stage, I was telling you yesterday, we have this like a point system that every single stage that you're on, it's like you have to score an X amount of points for us to get in on. And in the bear market, you have to get score of 90 and above for us to even do something with you. In the bull market, we usually drop the bar to like, 80, 75. If it's like a hyper bull market, then it's like drops to even more. But in the bear market, we're very, very diligent with who we give our money to. And it's not only the money, but it's the time, it's the energy, it's the, association and so forth and so forth. So like, yeah.
So you agree because most of the people say also like, well, it's difficult. Most of the founders say it's difficult to raise while we are in a bear market, and so what you say is we still as a VC we still invest, but we're way more picky.
Of course,
Right.
we're way more picky, way more picky. And not only that, but we also go very deep on our due diligence on the founders themselves. I mean, like that's what most of when you're a pre-seed fund, right? Like when you invest in pre-seed, you have no clue who these people really are. Luckily, because we have an association, we're friends with like 30, 40 other associations, local ones. So we just message and be like, listen, I just spoke with this guy from your city. Tell me more about him. And then they just write messages. Like sometimes, like I've gotten like the deals that I was really excited about, right? And they write to me like, this guy is a serial scammer. And he says, in English, his name is clean because we use a different alphabet. But he's like, listen, do me a favor. He sends me this guy's name in the local language, right? Just Google it and watch what's happening. And then you just like write this guy's name in red. Like there's like a red flag saying that like stay away from this guy. This guy's a serial scammer or something like that, right? And you're like, interesting. And the funny part is that that guy raised from some reputable funds that didn't know or whatever, right? So it's important to do your due diligence, like very important to do your due diligence because it is what it is.
I fully agree, and also like I think every funds like there are so many funds which are maybe not really professional either. So sometimes funders also have bad experiences with some VC funds out there. Maybe do you any advice you can provide to you? We talked before about how hard is it to launch a company, and then you told me how people here in Israel were particularly well trained thanks to the army. So maybe any like advice you can give on how to survive and how resilient it requires
Absolutely.
to be successful in this industry and in funding a project.
100% would love that. I think that the biggest mistakes that people make is the fact that some of them just listen to too many people, just to too many people about the same stuff. So be very careful with your advisors and your investors and make sure that if you choose somebody to be your go-to-market strategy advisor, right? As an example, right? Or somebody that's your tokenomics advisor, right? Or somebody that's your marketing advisor or your technology advisor, or cyber advisor, whatever advisors that you might have, right? It's extremely important to make sure that there's a synergy and synchrony amongst all of your advisors. Because the worst thing that can happen to a founder is when two people, one person is telling him to go left, the other one is telling him to go right. That's a project that's going to die because the founder gets confused. You know what I mean? So if you choose somebody and you trust somebody, trust them all the way. Trust them all the way. You know what I mean? And don't overthink that because this guy told you something else, maybe you should do something else. No, it's just simple, right? And that's one big mistake that I've seen a lot of founders do. A lot of founders do, because I'll tell you a story. So if you have glasses, right, and if your glasses are yellow, all right, and if my glasses are blue, right, if I see the color yellow, I see the color blue, right? But if you combine them together, you get green, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody combines two perspectives, thinking he can get the best of both worlds, no, he loses
Mm.
each world because it's green now and it's totally different from what he expected, right? What he was told. That's why it's
Mm.
so important to do that. Second thing that's important is if you don't have conviction that if you
Maybe
yeah,
just on a first point, do you have an example?
sure.
Yeah.
There's this one company that we're investors in, and the fundraising round was led by a different company that's also very strong in their marketing know-how, right? In their marketing know-how, they're known to be amazing at it, right? Former people from top exchanges, like top-notch people, very, very smart people, no doubt about it. And we got into a big argument because they proposed a different go-to-market strategy. I proposed a different go-to-market strategy, and the founder was confused. He didn't know who to choose, and then he liked certain aspects of what I said, and he liked certain aspects of what those guys said. But when he merged those two together, he took the worst ideas from me and worst ideas from them by mistake, and his go-to-market strategies collapsed on him, right? And that's what ruined his project, basically. That's what ruined his project, basically, right? Great guy, great team. So actually, what I'm bringing, I had a call with him earlier on, like a couple of hours ago before you came, right? And he told me, he's like, so it's like I should have listened to you back then when you told me like either me or them. You don't listen to both of us, right? It's okay to go with them because their strategy is good, but it's this merger is
Mm.
the difference, right? And to give you more deeper example for that is, do you go for growth or do you go for monetization? That's one thing, right? Do you go for growth or do you go for hyper growth? Now, do you use an NFT strategy to acquire users or do you use tokens to acquire users? Or do you just put the product out first for you to get the users for the product, right? Different things for the public. And that's where the miscommunication happened and everything collapsed, right? So that's why it's so important for you to understand that you choose somebody, you like somebody, you do due diligence on him, check him out. I'm not saying trust anybody blindly, right? On the contrary, ask around, and if you see people are saying good things about somebody, just go with his way and only listen to him, not other people. And second of all, the most important thing for startups is to learn how to survive. To learn how to survive. And as an example, there's this one company here. Their offices are actually over there in that building, in the tall one. I don't know if I should say who their name is, but they're huge. Like they're huge. They're backed by everybody, like Andreessen Horowitz and A16Z. It's one of the few companies where both Andreessen and A16Z are investors in it, and Intel, Insight, and I don't know, like everybody that you can think of that's like a wow, huge VC, like they have $1 billion or more, they all invested there, right? What's interesting is that these guys founded this company 11 years ago. They had 7 different pivots that they made along the way, and they never gave up until they found the real product market fit. When they found the real product market fit, they find it took them like 7 or 8 years for them to understand and find and 7 different pivots for them to get to their product market fit. Right now, their valuation is already like I think $10 billion or something like that, like in the private market. It didn't go public yet, right?
Mhm.
And that just shows you that it's this resilience of knowing what your goal is and always being able to maneuver properly until you will find your product market fit. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And having this ability to survive because you can read like I'll message him the founders afterwards to see if I can use him or not. But like if you read his history, he literally tells you that there was points in his life where he didn't have money to pay rent. So him and his co-founders, they actually had mattresses that they were sleeping in their own office because they had office was paid, but they're not taking any salaries. So we're literally sleeping in the office. And they were like literally not living because they didn't have a place to live. That's how bad it was. So all of them were just sleeping there and just surviving and just eating crackers and that's it. And that's just what it is, man. You just need to learn how to survive because as a founder, it's a tough game out there. Tough game out there. And why I have so much respect for them, these guys had every reason to give up and say, we want to give up and quit. Plus, we just found a pivot that's totally different from what we thought we were going to do. So let's just close the startup and start a new one. You know what I mean? Which is very common in crypto, right? It's the most common thing in crypto to do. Like, I did my best. It's decentralized. Let me start a new one. These guys didn't do it. These guys literally continued to plow in the same company until they found the product market fit, and now they're billionaires because of it. You know what I mean? That's why it's so important for you as a founder to know that there are limits. One of the limits is I'm not going to shut down. I'm not going to let my investors down. I'm going to continue. I'm going to fight till the end, and I will bring it to the end. You know what I mean? So it's like Eminem said, success is my only option, failure is not, right? That's it.
Definitely agree. And maybe globally, do you want to like open up on like how is the state of the Israeli blockchain ecosystem? Because we all know that security is a really strong segment in Israel. But how about blockchain? I understand that maybe in 2017 it was more dynamic than now.
No,
Maybe
now it's much more dynamic.
Okay.
You see, last time I saw the numbers, I think it was like 7% of all the VC money in Web3 crypto blockchain, 7% of all the money came to Israel and to Israeli startups.
Okay.
7%. And Israel makes 0.01% of the global population. And you have companies like, Certora, for example, this unicorn that's from Israel. You have companies like Fireblocks that are Israeli. You have people like ZK Starkware. They're Israeli companies in Netanya. The founder of Metro Labs is also local. The founders of Secret Labs are also Israeli. You know what I mean? You have many, many founders out there that were Israeli but are living in America right now and moved outside. I'm not counting those, by the way. I'm just counting like people, companies that are like very strong presence.
Yeah.
We also had Celsius, but it is what it is, right? It is what it is. So like Israel had this, like we have Koti, we have layer ones, layer twos, layer threes, DApps, consumer facing apps, GameFi, DeFi, everything. You have everything local in Israel. So it's like it's a huge ecosystem. It's huge. Even though it's small, it's huge because of the market cap valuations. Because all of these companies that are mentioned right now, probably like their market cap comes to like $50 billion in market cap, which is not bad, I think, right?
Yeah, no, totally. And maybe what do you think about like local regulation or local presence to VC and capital to support? Because as you said, like most of the capital came from outside Israel. How do you think about like the VC ecosystem supporting blockchain startups?
What's interesting here is the fact that a lot of the crypto VCs, without naming any names, but the big names out there, right? Their LPs are Israeli founders from high tech and Web 2 that made exits, and then they gave those guys money to manage and deploy, right? So one of the reasons why you don't really need a VC locally in Israel, even though we have a few, right? Why you don't really need one is because everybody has a friend, right? And this friend is an LP to you name it, whether it's A16, Pandera, Lightspeed, all of those guys, right? You have easy because all of those guys are LPs in their funds, right? So that's why one of the reasons why like the best founders, like they don't need to go locally look for money. Usually it's a friend that connects them directly with the big boys and they're like, okay, yeah, we're gonna give you money right now, right? So it's just the reality of the local. So like, yeah. And on the other hand, you do have some, pretty good funds locally in Israel as well that do and they really help. But most of the efficient funds locally are builder oriented. It's like a lab style, incubator style, right? Where you actually take a founder and you have this funnel where you take him from Web 2 and make him into a DJ, right? So that's just the flow that we kind of have as well. So,
And how do you see the ecosystem here in 5 years?
ecosystem here in 5
Yeah, in
years,
blockchain ecosystem.
I think we're gonna see. Let's see how Starkware does. There's the next ones, hopefully, to go, and then Fireblocks, so forth and so forth. But I see some great cybersecurity projects that are coming out of Israel right now, of course. You know what I mean? And I think that Israeli ecosystem is only going to grow. The problem with Israel is the fact that a lot of startups, after they get traction and critical mass, they just leave Israel. They just don't stay here. They just move, whether it's to London or mainly to New York or LA are the top destinations. Frisco, Silicon Valley, California, and New York are the top destinations of the founders. Afterwards, you have Dubai and Switzerland. Those are the second-tier destinations for the local founders. And then afterwards, you have like UK, Spain, Gibraltar. Now, a lot of people went to Portugal, Lisbon, and of course, France as well. But it's
yeah. Okay. Maybe as a closing remark, anything you would like to add?
I just want to say thank you very much, first of all, for hosting this and taking your time to have this chat and conversation. And for the founders out there, just know that this is a very closed world where people like to help people out all the time. So if anybody wants to have anything, any help, whether it's marketing, go-to-market strategy, and so forth, right? Just reach out, guys. Our socials are here, whether it's LinkedIn or Twitter. Just reach out, or you can always contact Mr. Clement, and just stay positive because we are in a stage right now where the paradigm shift is happening. And right now is a better time to be a founder in Web3 than it was at 17, than it was in 14, than it wasn't ever before. Because now it's already more mainstream than ever before, right? So the world is yours.
The world is yours. Thank you very much, Yosef.
Thanks a lot, bro. I appreciate this, man. Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Thank you all.